It's time for another round of Let's Talk with Lady Blend. You're now tuned in to Let's Talk with Lady Blend on Intermix Radio.
I'm Lady Blend. I want to thank you first of all for tuning in. Thank you for tuning in this month of February. This is actually Black History Month, of course. And so I would be remiss if I did not start off with a Black History moment. So today in Black History, one of America's greatest orators, Frederick Douglass, died on February 20th, 1895 in Washington, D.C. at the age of 77. He was born Frederick Augustus Washington Bailey and celebrated February 14th, 1818 as the date of his birth. Douglass became one of the world's foremost abolitionists and human rights leaders. Although today marks the date of his death, we are going to celebrate his life as a brilliant and persuasive orator, which drew listeners of all races to hear him expound upon the merits of freedom for all people. His famous 4th of July speech illustrated the mastery of his intellectual persuasion and boldness to speak the truth regardless of any personal consequences. He was named Minister Resident and Consul General to Haiti on July 1st, 1889. Douglass was the first African American to have a position that high in the United States government. So again, although this was the anniversary of his death, we want to celebrate his life and all of the things that he has done for this country, for this nation. So it's been a while since we've talked. Our last talk was about personal development, personal growth. And today we're going to talk about reinventing yourself. What does that mean? And should you embark upon that journey? Should you? Now, reinventing yourself does not mean changing or fixing who you are, but rather aligning your life with your values, strengths, and goals. It involves a deeper awareness of personal growth and a renewed sense of purpose. So again, it doesn't require you, and it doesn't mean that you're fixing something that's broken, because there's nothing that's broken. It just means that you are realigning yourself, realigning and your life with your values, your strengths, and your goals. Now, we know the world is constantly changing, and we must learn to adapt, and we must evolve to deal with those changes. The reality is we have three choices when we're dealing with change. We can adapt to it, we can reject it, or we can reject it and kind of resist it. Because sometimes, and when I say resist it, sometimes people tend to, or they pretend to go along with the change, but really behind the scenes, they're actually doing things that make them resist that change. But one thing that is sure, change is inevitable. It's going to happen whether you go along with the train or not. The train is leaving, and whether you're on that car or not, it's leaving. So reinventing yourself is, and it can be, a way of taking charge of your situation and of your circumstances. The decision to reinvent yourself is personal to each individual, and it's not a one size fits all. So let's talk about that. So when you grow up, when you're small, you kind of decide, some people decide, oh, I want to be a policeman, or I want to be a fireman, or I want to be a carpenter. And then as you go through school and as you go through life and you grow up, then you decide that may all change. But you go to school, you go to college, or whatever that is, higher learning that you decide to embark on, and you decide on a career goal, you decide on a path. Sometimes that path is exactly what you wanted it to be. It's exactly what you dreamed it would be, exactly what you wanted it to be. But however, sometimes you can get into a career path and realize that it's really not all that you thought it was going to be. So when we say reinventing ourselves, we're not really reinventing ourselves in the sense of really reinventing ourselves. I think we are redirecting our energies and redirecting our passions to something that better fits us, better fits our strengths, better fits our goals, and better fits our values. So now we're going to talk about what it means to do that. So what does it mean to reinvent yourself? It means, what it does not mean is that you erase your past. So we're not taking that word literally, reinventing yourself. It doesn't mean that you're going to erase your past, because we all know that the past is the past, and once it's there, you can't take it back. Whatever has happened has already happened. So you're going to take those experiences, those situations, so you're going to take all that along with you if you decide to make the decision to actually reinvent yourself. It takes the core of who you are, and it kind of breathes something fresh in you, a fresh awakening into yourself. Now, this can be sparked by many different things. It could be a life event. It could be a marriage, or it could be a divorce. It could be the end of one career. You could decide that you're going to retire, and sometimes it may not necessarily be that you want to retire. You may just wake up one day and decide, this is not what I want to do anymore. And that's it. You want to go in a different direction. You want to do something differently. And so it could be that. It could just be as simple as that. Or like I said, it could be retirement. You could have worked on a job for several years and then decided that, you know what, not to say that the job that you worked on was not necessarily your passion. It may have been something that you enjoyed doing, but now you're going to really search yourself, and you're going to say, what is that thing that I would do even if I wasn't getting paid for it? What is that passion, that untapped passion or abilities that I have that now I want to put a little bit of focus on and kind of draw on that and decide what I want to do with the rest of my life? So it could be any one of those circumstances or situations that could cause you to say, you know what, I think I want to go into this reinvention journey. I want to take this journey and see where it leads me. The process can be as simple as adopting a new style. Sometimes you may, it could be as simple as adopting a new style. Maybe you used to wear your hair long all the time, and maybe you decide that you want to cut it short. I want to do something. I've always wanted to cut my hair short, but I just never thought I had the face for it, or whatever the situation is. But it could just be a new style. It could be you picking up a new hobby. Maybe something that you thought was interesting, but you just never really had the time or the space really to take up that new hobby. So maybe it's that new hobby you never really considered or you thought about. Or, as I was speaking before, you might decide that you just want to change careers. That might be what it is. You just want to change careers. And then we know that changing careers is not all that simple. We know that it takes you doing some investigating. We know that it takes some effort and some intentionality to do that, but it is not impossible. But that can also be a part of your reinvention journey. Redirecting your passion, redirecting your energy, rediscovering some things about yourself, looking at a new purpose, understanding your values, understanding your strength, and then going ahead and deciding on a course of action. Now, we're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we're going to go over a little bit more about reinventing ourselves. And the question that I have to ask is, do I need to reinvent myself? Is that a journey that I need to take? We'll be right back.
Who's that lady on the radio? It's the one and only Lady Lynn. Who's that lady on the radio? It's the one and only Lady Lynn. Ooh, Lady Lynn.
Welcome back to Let's Talk with Lady Blend, where today we are talking about reinventing ourselves or reinventing yourself. And should you do that? And we talked about reinventing ourselves is not, it's not literally reinventing yourself, but you are actually doing something different and discovering some new things about yourself that you didn't know, embarking on a new journey, a new discovery. And so when we took the break, I was asking the question, ask yourself the question, do I need to reinvent myself? Do I need? Ask that question first. But the one thing that is important for you to understand and to realize, listen to me good, is that reinventing yourself or redirecting your passions, redirecting your energies is not about fixing something that's broken. It is not about fixing something that's broken or tossing out everything that you ever knew. It's not about that, because we have to bring along our life's experiences, bring along all those things that have happened, because all those things have shaped us into being who we are. And so it is not about that, or even starting from scratch. It's not about that. Remember this, you are enough just as you are. You are enough just as you are. So, however, there may be parts of your life you'd like to improve, or you're ready to achieve new goals, pursue a new career, develop or foster deeper relationships. And self-reinvention can help you reach those objectives. So again, you ask yourself, do I need to do that? Excuse me for just one moment, please. Excuse me a moment, please. I need the producer to come over, please, for just a moment. Sorry about that. We're good. So again, it may be something that you want to improve about improve about your life, some parts of your life you want to improve, or you're ready to achieve new goals, pursue a new career, develop or foster deeper relationships. And again, self-invention can help you achieve those goals. It can also help you achieve and enhance your well-being and work towards a new purpose. And I do want to reiterate that reinventing yourself, should you decide to take on that journey, is not a sign of anything that is broken within yourself. It's just that you have decided that you want to embark on a new discovery, on a new journey, and you want to do something differently. And this is just a way, a mechanism that you can achieve those objectives. Now, you may ask yourself this question: can I reinvent myself on a tight budget? Now, budgets, that's another story. We talk about that at a later date. Well, we should all have a budget. Now, budgets are something that we should all have. But can you do that? Can you reinvent yourself on a tight budget? Now, I am always a proponent of doing your research. Do your research. So if it's something new that you are pursuing, if this is a path that you want to take, make sure that you do your research and find out what it takes, because you, remember, have developed skills and abilities along your life cycle, and those skills and abilities can possibly be used to do this new thing, this new journey that you're already on, that you want to embark upon. So look into that first. Look into what you already have, and then find out what you need. Find out what additional you need. Now, in gaining skills and abilities, one of the things that you can always do is volunteer. Another thing that you can do is find someone who's doing what it is that you would like to do, and get in touch with that person, hook up with that person, talk to that person, and find out, how did they get to where they are? What are some of the things they did? What are some of the downfalls, pitfalls that they ran into? What do I need to get started? So you want to do some things like that too. And so take some free classes. If there are free classes out there for you to take some free classes. Take some online classes. Visit the library. The library has a wealth of information, and you may be able to find some information and gain some knowledge there too, that doesn't cost you anything. But should it come to a point where you realize that you need something more than what you can get from your own experience that you have, and from your volunteerism and everything else that you've done, then once again, you do your research, you work it into your budget, because we know that whatever it is that you would like to do, if you put your mind to it, if you're intentional about it and are focused on it, you can definitely do it. So we don't want to have money or budgets to stop us, but we want to be creative, find creative ways to do what it is that we want to do. Now, another question that I'm sure you all are thinking, and I know, listen, I didn't give you the phone number. Now, we are live, so you can put your comments that you would like to put in the chat, or your questions. You can also call 305-898-0271 for your questions, or you can also text that number if you have any questions. So remember, this is interactive. So if you have anything you'd like to say, any comments you'd like to make, please do so. Again, another question that people will probably ask is, am I too old for this? Listen, I have had a full career. I've raised all my kids. I've done all this. Am I too old to be talking about reinventing myself or doing something different? And the answer to that question is a resounding no. You are not too old. You are not too old to embark upon a new journey, a new discovery of yourself, something that you've always wanted to do. You are not too old to do that. You're never too old. Age, as a matter of fact, can be one of your superpowers because it can bring a wealth of experience and wisdom, which can be invaluable in a new endeavor. So don't ever think that you're too old to start something new. You're not ever too old to start something new. The key, though, is for you to maintain an empowering, say it one more time, empowering, an open-minded attitude. Be willing to learn. Be willing to learn and take action toward achieving your goals. So we all know a plan is just a plan on a piece of paper, and I encourage you always to write it down. If you have a plan, if there's a plan of action, something that you want to do, especially when you're talking about reinventing yourself, or really with anything, put it pen to paper. Put it down on a piece of paper so you can read it, so you can see it. You can make the steps, write the steps down, and then you can also track those steps. You can cross out those things that you have done, but you always have to be intentional about what you're doing and stay focused at what you're doing. Be willing to learn. You cannot be closed-minded and learn something new. You can't be closed-minded and learn something new. And so make sure that you keep an open mind and be willing to learn so that you can move and take action. So don't let it just be words on a piece of paper that you've written down, or an action plan. An action plan only works if you take the action on the plan. All right, so we're talking about implementation. You have to implement what you put down, pen to paper. Otherwise, it's just words on a piece of paper. Okay? Now, there are some benefits. There are some benefits to reinventing yourself. Of course there are. And some of those benefits, I'll just tell you what the list of benefits are, and then we'll go through them one by one. So one benefit is personal growth. Personal growth and professional growth. Another is you can get a fresh perspective. Another benefit can be career advancement. Happiness and fulfillment is a benefit. Overcoming adversity. And health and well-being. So we're going to unpack those bit by bit. We're going to unpack those. So we know what personal growth is, right? So personal growth is you reflecting, you are basically taking an analysis of yourself, of your inner self. And you're saying, hey, this is where I am. This is what I've done. And this is where I would like to go. I have to take these steps in order to get there. And I'm looking at this, my reinvention for personal growth, and the same thing for professional growth. You want to move from where you are, and sometimes that professional growth may cause you to change jobs, not necessarily careers, but you might have to change jobs, change your placement, change your location. Sometimes you have to change your location because sometimes you have gone as far as you can go in your particular location. And if you are still at a point in your career, on your career journey, where advancement is still possible and probable, and you don't want to be stagnant where you are, sometimes you have to change your location and continue on. So that personal growth and that professional growth, it can also help you tap into some hidden talents and capabilities that you didn't even realize that you had. And in order for you to do that, you have to step outside of your comfort zone, right? So if it doesn't challenge you, it's not going to change you. So in order for you to change, you have to have some type of challenge for you to change. So stepping outside your comfort zone, exploring new horizons, and just embodying a more evolved version of yourself in that. And so that involves, again, your personal growth as well as your professional growth. And you'll be surprised at the untapped levels of your own potential that you have, because we do have potential that is just untapped. And sometimes it's because we've never looked. Sometimes it's because we've never been pushed. And sometimes it's because we've never been challenged. And so that reinventing process, that journey can help you in your personal growth as well as in your professional growth. All right, we're going to take another break. And when we come back, we're going to talk about a fresh perspective.
You're listening to Let's Talk with Lady Blend on WYMS, your music smoothie. Who's that lady on the radio? It's the one and only Lady Blend.
So we are back, and you are listening once again to Let's Talk with Lady Blend, and I am Lady Blend. And our topic for today, this evening, is reinventing yourself. And should you reinvent yourself? We talked about what reinventing yourself means, and now we're talking about what are the benefits of doing that. And so before we took the break, we talked about one of the benefits is personal and professional growth. For your personal and professional growth. And remember, we said reinventing yourself does not literally mean reinventing yourself. It does mean redirecting your energies, redirecting your passions and your purpose and your values and your strengths and all of that into something new. And so another benefit for reinventing yourselves is a fresh perspective. And so gaining a fresh perspective can offer you a new point of view. So we all know that we look at life through our own lenses, and we see situations and circumstances through our own lenses. And of course, through that, we develop our own opinions and our own thought processes. And so sometimes reinventing yourself or redirecting those things can give you a new perspective on, you may not see things the same way that you once saw them. And so you might begin to see opportunities instead of obstacles. What about that? So now, instead of this being an obstacle that's just kind of standing in my way, I look at this now as an opportunity. Old challenges can be now reframed as new adventures. And through a self-analysis, you can gain a deeper understanding of your desires, your thoughts, and areas for improvement. Because we can all improve upon ourselves. We can all improve upon our skills and our abilities. And that also goes with being willing to learn. Always being in a posture of learning something. And I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to, learn how to build a spaceship or anything like that, but you should always be in a posture of learning something new, learning something different. Another benefit, since we talked about personal and professional growth, could be career advancement. So you embark upon this journey and your goals and your aspirations are for career advancement. Now, of course, career advancement again can mean that you may have to go and take some additional classes. You may have to get some certifications. You may have to do some things differently. Again, step outside of your comfort zone and do something new, learn something new, learn a new skill, or hone in on the skills that you have and the capabilities that you already have. And so that career advancement, once again, acquiring new skills, or you could be changing careers, that can significantly boost your opportunities and your job satisfaction. So let's face it, I mean, no one really wants to go to work every day and not be satisfied with their job. And I'm not saying that you're going to love every single solitary thing about your job, because you're not. But on an overall basis, there should be some level of satisfaction in what you do. You should know how what you do affects other people. And in that way, it should give you some type of job satisfaction beyond money. Now, money is a satisfying thing, but you should still have, I believe that you should still have something about your job that gives you some personal satisfaction about your career. Also, learning new skills can make you versatile. You know, you may have been on your job for a while. You decide that you want to embark on this new journey, learn some new skills, and do something else in that same job arena, and that's okay. And now that makes you more marketable when you learn new skills. And I know I have, and I know you probably know some people who said, I'm going to do my job. That's all I'm going to do. That's it. That's all they're getting out of me. And that's the end. But you do have some people who have the attitude, you know what? I'll learn something new. I'll learn something different, because even if I can't use it here, if I don't have the opportunity to use it where I am right now, who's to say where you'll be able to use that? And then, and of course, too, if your job is paying for it, if they're sponsoring it, you take the training that they offer you, especially if they're paying for it. Take the training. Take the training. I'll say that one more time. Take the training. So again, it can make you more versatile, and that can take you closer and closer to whatever your career aspirations are. Or if you're even talking about changing careers, it can move you closer to that too, because you just never know what could happen when you start to acquire new skills. Because usually when you start learning something, you want to learn more, and you want to learn more, and you start getting inquisitive about how this works and how that works, and start being inquisitive. Listen, when there's a work product that comes from you, for me, it was always, what happens after it leaves me? What happens before I get it? And so those processes, those are invaluable things that you can learn and take that along with you. And maybe that could be something that gets you to cross over to something new, if you're even looking for something new to do, or to add to your repertoire of your skills and your abilities. So career advancement is definitely one of those things that's a benefit of, quote, reinventing yourself or redirecting your energies. Happiness and fulfillment. Happiness and fulfillment. Introducing new experiences, realigning with your core values. And if you don't know what your core values are, if you've never really sat down and thought about what are the things that I really value, what do I value in my life? Do I value my time? You know, a lot of people value their families. Do you value your relationships? What is it that you value, and what do you value outside of your job experiences and outside of your sometimes personal, professional? What are your values? And if you haven't done that, you might want to sit down and take some time and kind of think about what are those things that I value. You might find pockets of joy in places that you never thought you would find pockets of joy. You may have thought about something and said, wow, you know what? I used to, and I remember when I did whatever that is, that did bring me joy, it did bring me fulfillment. Maybe there's something that I need to rewind, and maybe I need to go back and revisit that again. And if that's the case, that's fine. That's fine. So you can redo that. So, should I play you? No. So just look at that. Those things that are fulfilling to you, that make you happy. Take a look at those things and just really think about that. Another thing is that's a benefit is overcoming adversity. Overcoming adversity. Reinventing yourself, redirecting yourself helps you to build resilience, which may also help you face challenges with more confidence and bounce back from setbacks more efficiently. And so overcoming adversity, that's a skill set in and of itself, because sometimes we can get stuck. We can get stuck in things that we just don't realize that we're stuck. And so overcoming those things, realigning with ourselves, can make us be and build resilience and help us face challenges again with more confidence and bounce back, because that's what we want to do. We don't want to have setbacks and stay back. We want to have setbacks, realize what caused those setbacks if we can, and then get back up again off that horse that we fell off of or whatever that is, and then start to move forward. But we have to have the opportunity and be able to analyze those things that have happened that may have caused us to have those setbacks, so that we don't do the same things over again. And last thing that we'll talk about is health and well-being. And we know that we should always prioritize our health, because without our health, we don't have anything. And you can have all the money in the world. I know that's a song. You can have all the money in the world. You can have all the things in the world and not have your health, and that is worth nothing. Without your health is worth nothing. Without your well-being is worth nothing. Without having some kind of sound mind is worth nothing. And so those are the things that we should guard. We should guard ourselves against that. We should take care of our health in the best way that we can, and make sure that we guard our well-being too. Embracing reinvention through stress reduction techniques, because there are things that you can do to reduce your stress. Sometimes you have to go in the room, block everything and everyone else out, everything and everyone else out, and just take some time. And I know we used to kind of, when it was woosah, when we used to say stuff like that, hey, sometimes you have to do that. Take some deep breaths, let them out slowly, take some time for yourself, because when you are stressed, you are no good to anyone else. And if you never take the time to relax, it is called self-care. Self-care can help with your overall health, with your mental health, with your physical health, and with your overall well-being. So take some time to practice some self-care. It can lead you to a more calmer, a more balanced life, while also benefiting, again, your mental and your physical health. It can also lead you to healthier habits. Now, I know I'm one. Sleep is important, and we hear that all the time. But a lot of times we do not get enough sleep. We just don't get enough sleep. And so developing healthier habits, doctors say and researchers say that you should try to develop a sleep routine, just like anything else. When you get ready to go to sleep, if you go to sleep at the same time every night and get a certain amount of sleep, and it's different for people. It's different when you're younger, the amount of sleep that you need is different when you're older. And for some reason, when you get older, some people just seem to need less sleep. But whatever that requirement is that you need, because your body is going to tell you. You will start feeling when you are stressed. And when you get too stressed out, it can also cause you to manifest itself in other physical ways. You can get sick. It can also affect your immune system. So don't sleep on what stress can do to your body and your overall well-being. So let's just make sure that we take care of our health and our well-being. So we have gone over, I'm just going to repeat some of the benefits of reinventing yourself, and I say redirecting your energies and all of that. And some of those benefits were personal growth, a fresh perspective, career advancement, professional growth, happiness and fulfillment, overcoming adversity, and health and well-being. Now, we're going to take another break, and when we come back, I'm going to give you, it's sort of a checklist. We're going to call it a checklist of some things should you choose. This is mission. It's not Mission Impossible, but this is the mission. Should you choose to embark upon this reinvention process, I'm going to give you a checklist of things, and this is not going to be an exhaustive list, but this is something that can definitely get you started on that journey. Hey, you're listening to Let's Talk with Lady Blend, and I'll be right back.
Listening to Let's Talk with Lady Blend on WYMS, your music smoothie.
Welcome back. Welcome back. Again, you are listening to Let's Talk with Lady Blend, and I was reading some of the comments while I was on the little break, and I heard someone say, I saw someone said, I love sleep. And yes, sleep is very important, because sleep is the time that your body rejuvenates, and all these processes happen while you're asleep. So imagine the processes that are supposed to happen while you're asleep. If you don't get the adequate amount of sleep, that means that the body is not functioning as efficiently as it should be. So that's a good thing. I love sleep too, but I can tell you, there are sometimes I cannot get to sleep. Just sometimes I can't get to sleep, but it's okay. I thought I was going to see some other ones. I did read some other ones, but thank you guys so much for your comments, and you can just keep them coming. I definitely appreciate you guys tuning in. Definitely appreciate y'all. He done put that so far away. Yeah, those who know me know I can't see that far away. I do wear glasses, but at any rate, we're gonna get that fixed the next time. So I want to read your comment. So I see one comment, and I don't know if you want me to put your name out there, so I won't do that. So one is saying, "Hey, Lady Blend, hey, y'all." And I have another comment that says, "I read the one, I love sleep," in quote, in exclamation point. Another one says, "Very true. Have to continue to move forward and keep getting up with drive and willingness to learn from the past." Absolutely. Because guess what? If we don't learn from our past mistakes, you know what happens. We tend to repeat them. And so that's not what we want to do. We want to learn from our experiences, learn from we're going to say our challenges, and even from those things that didn't go the way that we necessarily wanted them to go. So we could say failures if we want. But failures are just an opportunity for you to try it again and look at those experiences and those situations and those circumstances and know what not to do the next time. So yes, we get to learn from all of our experiences. So that is very true. You have to have drive. And some people are self-driven. Like I said, some people are self-driven. They would get up, they would do what it needs to be done. Some people need a little bit of a push. And I guess we all at some point in time need a little bit of a push, but make sure that you have, or you develop that inner drive. Develop that inner drive, because that is very, very, very important, to develop that inner drive and to keep moving forward. So when we took the break, I told you when we came back, should you choose to embark upon this journey of reinvention, I have a checklist of things that you can consider while on this journey. And the first thing is self-reflection. And so self-reflection is just simply looking at where you are, looking at what you've done, deciding where you want to go, right? Deciding, identify the reasons. So we don't want to change. So no one should be a proponent of change just for the sake of changing. So if you want to change something, or you want to reinvent yourself or do something differently, then don't do it just for the sake of doing it. Do it for a reason. Make sure there's a reason for you to do. Write down why you want to reinvent yourself. Understand your motivations, because your motivations are the things that are going to drive you through this journey. And if you're just doing something just for the sake of doing it, you're probably not going to stick with it. So we want you to be able to stick with whatever it is that you decide that you're going to do. Conduct a life audit. Now, how many times have you ever heard that? Conducting a life audit. And that just means rating the areas of your life, your health, your career, your relationships, and you can rate those different things on a scale of 1 to 10 to identify what's working and what's not. Yes, I said it. What's working and what's not. Because if what we're doing for our health is not working, we need to be able to identify those things so that we can make the necessary adjustments, right? Because again, what I told you before, you can't do anything if you don't have your health. So that is definitely something that you need to concentrate on, pay attention to. And your career, what's working, what's not working. Make those necessary adjustments as well. And relationships. I read a book. I do read, y'all. I read a book. It was by T.D. Jakes. And in that book, he was talking about how you should evaluate your relationship. You should evaluate all of your relationships. You should evaluate and determine, like it says, what's working and what's not working. And then this is a self-reflection though. So this is, what are you putting into the relationship to make the relationship work or not work? So again, that's self-reflection. And up under that, identify their reasons for wanting to reinvent yourself. What are your motivations? Because that's what's going to drive you. And then conduct a life audit. I really like that one. Conduct a life audit. Look at your health, your career, look at your relationships, rate them, realize and identify what's working and what's not, so you can determine what things you need to change. Okay, you need to change. This is self-reflection. Another thing on that checklist is set clear goals. And we talked about that, setting clear goals, not just saying, I want to make $1 million. Okay, that's a goal. That's probably a goal of a whole lot of people, but you have to do a little bit more. They should be SMART goals, right? So they have to be something that's attainable. They must be attainable. And y'all know right now that SMART acronym is escaping me, but it's okay because you can go look it up. SMART goals, set SMART goals. And make sure that these are goals that are, again, that are attainable. Don't make them too vague. Say exactly what you mean, and then specify who it is you want to become or what it is you want to accomplish. You need to specify those things. Okay, so let's get an example. Instead of you just saying, I want to be organized. Well, that's kind of vague because you haven't said how you want to be organized. You haven't said when you expect this to take place. You never said how you expect all of this to take place. So you may make that a little bit more specific and say, you know what? I want to be someone who plans my day effectively. And then from there, you can say, okay, I'm going to get up in the morning. I'm going to make sure I eat breakfast. And I'm not saying something so stringent. I'm saying, yeah, put yourself, make yourself a schedule. I want to get up in the morning. I want to make sure that these are the things that I do on a daily basis, right? I want to do these things on a daily basis because what you're trying to do is develop new habits. You're trying to develop new habits. Okay, here we go. Create SMART goals. SMART goals are specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound, right? They're specific. You can measure those goals. They are achievable. So that means that don't set something that is so far in the future that you know that you probably never ever gonna ever get to, or is not ever gonna happen. Make sure those goals are relevant to you, because we're talking about you. So make sure those goals are relevant to you, and make sure that they are time bound, because we cannot have anything that's just hanging out there. I want to do this in 3 months. I want to do this in 3 months. By 3 months, I want to have accomplished X. Right? And then along the way, you measure your progress. Another thing, let go of the old. Sometimes we need to just declutter. Remove physical and emotional clutter that no longer serves you. And sometimes we carry around baggage that does not serve us, and we carry that baggage around so heavily that it keeps us from moving forward. We don't want to stand still and be stagnant. We want to be able to move forward. And so in order to move forward, you have got to let some things go. You can't carry everything along with you. And one of the things that I guess psychologists and scientists will say, again, is to write a goodbye letter to yourself. Thanking your old self for the lessons that you've learned, and express your commitment to change. And guess what? And once you write that letter, you make sure you read that letter out loud to yourself. You writing it to yourself and you're reading it out loud to yourself. Another thing on that checklist is embrace change. And we talked about that. You do have to embrace change, because if you always do what you always done, you're going to always get what you always got. And we know the definition of that is That is called insanity. So don't keep doing the same things and expecting a different result, because it is not going to happen. So you have to embrace change. If you want to do a new thing, you have to make some changes. And remember, if it doesn't challenge you, it's not going to change you. So you're going to have to do something different. Adopt new habits. Sometimes you have to get rid of that old stuff. Again, we talked about get rid of the clutter. Adopt new habits. Just because you've always done it that way doesn't mean you have to always do it that way. Okay? Adopt some new habits and new routines. Build yourself a support system. Build yourself a support system. And that requires you to connect with like-minded individuals. So if you know other people who are also on that journey, or who have already taken that journey, right, to where you want to go, that's when you connect with those people who've already done it. Because I'm a big proponent of not reinventing the wheel. So if you can tell me something, if you can give me some insight into what it is that I'm trying to do because you've already done it, if you're willing to do that for me, then I am definitely willing to listen and willing to learn and willing to make whatever adjustments that I had in my mind about how I thought this was going to work or what I thought this was going to do. And it doesn't mean that you're going to change your plan. It just means with the additional insight that you have for someone who has already gone through it, doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to have the exact same experiences that they had, but you listen to the insights, listen to people, and you take away from that what other people have to offer. You take what it's just their offers, just their suggestions. It's not something that you have to do. Track your progress. That's another step. Always track your progress, because it's important to celebrate those milestones along the way, because you don't want to get to the end, right, and you've not tracked anything along the way. You want to track your progress, because that shows that you're moving forward. You want to make sure that you're moving forward. In order for you to make sure you're moving forward towards that goal that you are trying to reach, you have to track where you come from, the points, your milestones that you've made, and track all of that along the way. A good way to do that is keep a journal. And I know a lot of people don't like writing things down because we're in the age of AI now. So people don't like writing things down. But if you want to use a computer, however you want to capture that, keep a journal. But I can tell you this, writing things down is more personal. It's more personal to you. It's in your handwriting. It's more personal to you. But however you want to do that, you do that. Another thing is seeking a mentor. Seeking a mentorship. Someone that you trust to give you advice, or to kind of like put you on the right path, because we don't ever have all the answers. So if you have someone who you trust, that you can bounce ideas off of, and a lot of times there are things that you didn't even think about, or subjects that you never even thought about, and they can bring that to you. You can say, wow, yeah, that's a great idea. I never thought about it that way, or so forth and so on. So if you find a mentor, you find one that's good, hold on to them. Hold on to them. And the last point that I want to make in our checklist is stay adaptable. Stay adaptable. And remember, in the very beginning, I talked about in this ever-changing world that everything is changing. Change is inevitable and everything. You have to stay adaptable. You can't be so frigid that you can't change, right? That you can't move. You can't move. And so be open to change. You have to be open to change. Reinvention is a continuous process, sort of like akin to your personal growth, right? That's a continuous process. So if you're reinventing, if you're embarking on a new journey, it's not something that's just gonna, bam, this is a new journey and that's it. No, that new journey is going to take some time. It's a process. It's a process. It's a process. It might be, it's not a sprint. It may be, it's a marathon. and practice mindfulness, right? And so mindfulness is not one of those things that, like the heebie-jeebies, people think about that, but just being mindful and being present into where you are and into what you're doing. It helps you stay present and focused on what it is that you're trying to achieve. So make sure that you practice mindfulness in all of this. So I see that my time is nearing to the end. I have enjoyed my time with you guys today. Again, I am Lady Blend, and you have been listening to Let's Talk with me. And the topic for today was reinventing yourself. Should I? And I have given you basically a definition of what reinvention means. I have talked to you about whether or not you need to do that. I've given you some benefits of doing that. And then I've also given you kind of a roadmap if you decide to take that journey, should you accept that, or some checklists or some things that you can do along the way. Thank you so much for listening. And tell somebody to tell somebody to tell somebody else that Lady Blend was on the radio. And remember that you'll be able to watch this on all social media platforms. If you didn't catch it today, we will have it out there on all social media platforms. And next week we'll have it on the air again. So thank you so much, guys, for listening. And we will also be on Intermix Radio next week, live on the air. Thank you guys for listening. Be safe out there. Good night.
You're listening to Let's Talk with Lady Blend on WYMS, your music smoothie.